Mm.
Hey, Jono.
I knew that had happened. I knew that while I was taking a sip, that's when we would go live.
Yeah, I was watching for you to pull the cup up to your mouth right before I went live on you.
Excellent. G'day.
Hey, how's it going?
And g'day everyone who's watching and joining us live. We haven't done this for a while, and I'm really stoked to be back with you guys. And it'd be grand if you would leave some comments so that we know that you're there and you're watching. Any comments, any questions? Love to see them and interact with you guys in real time. There's James. G'day, James. There you
All
go.
right. Hey,
He said,
how's it going?
"Congratulations on the upcoming tour." We're going to be talking about that. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
we go.
we are excited about tours. We just came off of the tour. Jonah, I was on the ground in Israel and Jordan for 34 days, I believe.
That's right.
And man, I'm telling
Beginning with the tour with you and James Tabor,
that's right.
and and that was a great success. James is doing it again in March, I do believe.
Yep, March. He's got a tour in March, and he did a live stream today to talk about his tour, and I
There you go.
watched it, and it was really good. It was well done, and of course, if someone's interested in Second Temple Bible and beyond,
Hmm.
you and I have both done his tour, so great. It's a
That's
great tour, and we're
yep.
doing
That is
something totally different. James and I talked today because they're so different. It's sort of like you can kind of pick if someone's oriented this way. Of course, ours is primarily Hebrew Bible, and
hmm
so that's what we're going to talk about tonight is the Tanakh tours. Tanakh
Tanakh
tours.
Tours. Tanakh. Tanakh Tours. I spell it because for everyone who was following us while we were over there, we used hashtag Tanakh Tours.
That's right.
And for all of our photos and videos. And a lot of people were following those and really enjoying us bringing them along. But for those who missed that, let's see, Tanakh Tours, hashtag Tanakh Tours. Just put that
Look at
into
that.
your search engine in Facebook, and it will come up with all of the videos and all of the photos. Uh, and I tell you what, I haven't even had time to go through
Oh,
in
I have.
detail.
I
There are
haven't
so
either.
many photos. I'm just looking now. Sarah Tate, g'day Sarah, Sarah and John,
Yeah.
um, took some really good photos. I mean, just some spectacular photos. I know Peggy did as well. We really have some
Joe
very
Joe Whitehead. Joe Whitehead.
Joe, yeah,
We had
very
so
talented
many.
photographers.
Yeah, we had some good photographers. In fact, today Joe sent me a few photographs.
Oh yeah,
And like you, I haven't even gone through my own photographs, let alone other people. And there really were some good photos. I've seen them going through the feeds of Facebook and so forth. So,
yeah. And
but
the thing that I love about this is that you and I were, and a lot of other people that were on the tours that we recently did were very diligent about documenting as we went, and just looking through this now, and I'll just put this down because otherwise I'll get distracted.
yeah,
But you need to be reminded of all the places that we have been because it's easy to forget one, and just because we had so much going on and reacquaint. I mean, it's a whirlwind when you're doing it, and to have time to get back and sort of get over the jet lag, which I'm still doing,
oh yeah.
and then revisit all the places that we have been, and then maybe even look up some resources and read a little further about it and refresh the memory and expand the knowledge. It's just a wonderful thing.
Hey, speaking of expand, I'm going to pull this map up. This
Mm,
is the graphic that I used when we promoted the last Tanakh tour because we
hmm
did Jordan and Israel, and that was our first time to take the Tanakh tour to that level,
hmm
where we included both what I called the Holy Lands. A
mm.
lot of people think of Israel and they say, "Oh, you want to go on a Holy Land tour, you go to Israel," but what we proved to the people who went with us and we showed them is that there are considerable biblical sites and historical sites east of the Jordan Rift.
Mm.
So that was a big deal. And
Do you
I'm
know?
looking forward to taking that another step. Go ahead, Jono.
Yeah, absolutely. So just talking about that while we were in Jordan, some of the highlights for me, and I'm sure they were for you as well. And it was thanks to you working with that. We had an excellent tour guide, and we will insist on using him again. His name was Aladdin, and
Aladdin.
he was so willing to work with us. He was so flexible, and we really couldn't have hoped for a better tour guide, could we? We were so relieved
No.
when we found out that there was him. Anyway, we went to places like Duban. We went to places like up on top of the mountains there. Remind me the name.
Let
Bosra.
me. Yeah, yeah. We went to Botsra, and that was really cool because some of the sites that we went to, you could tell that tours don't normally go there. When we went, for
Buses
instance,
could barely go there, let alone let alone tours. It
and
clearly
not
wasn't on the
and
tourist map.
here's Aladdin. This is our tour guide, and yeah,
There he
we
is.
really had a great time, and we didn't know what to expect, did we? Because all you know when you book a Jordan tour is that you have to use a Jordanian guide. So
Mm.
we worked through the tour company, and we gave them some, I guess, criteria. One, we wanted to be able to use a microphone because we didn't know that we thought maybe we'd get a Jordanian guide who would hog the mic, but we wanted to tell the stories.
Mm.
And I remember on the first day of the tour, we asked him, "Hey, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." And it was from that point forward, I mean,
It
we
was
knew we
great.
had a buddy, and it was great. But
Yeah.
back to the sites that we went to, when we went to Botzra, the thing, there are a lot of verses about Edom and Bozrah, Bozrah, in the English Bible. And when we went there, I remember the kids were lined up in the street. Remember, they're like
Oh
waving,
yeah,
and
they were thrilled. They couldn't believe that a bus had of tourists had pulled up, and they're all running out and waving to us, and
yeah.
they were thrilled that we were there. The thing about for me, and g'day to Dave, by the way. Dave's watching,
Hey,
so
Dave.
g'day, Dave. Want to chat with you later, Dave. By the way, we'll get to that. Uh, Boss Russ. So one of the things that I love, like you and I have both spent a lot of time at Biblical Tamar Park in Yeravot in
Right.
Israel, right south of the Dead Sea, as has Dave, as has James. Um, and one of the things that I love about spending time there in the desert is the late afternoon when the sun is shining onto the mountains of Edom, right?
Yep.
And there's that it brings out the red, the iron and the copper of the hills, and
Yep.
it's just it becomes really quite deep red, and it's just a beautiful thing to behold. And as the sun goes down, you see the lights come out on top of those mountains, and it's really quite elevated. It's very high,
Right.
and I've always thought to myself, I wonder what it's like being up there and looking down here, right?
Yeah.
Well, we got the opportunity to do that for the
Yep.
first time, and that was a thrill to me. In fact, it was a beautiful evening. You remember when we were there?
I
It
do.
was a full moon, I
Yep.
think, and the moon was just coming up as the sun was setting. Oh, we couldn't have timed it better.
No.
Up on top of
It
the
almost
hills,
it almost looked like we had it planned.
it almost, yeah, it really was great. So that was one of the highlights for me. Diban. Now, tell the people the significance of Diban. Oh well, and Botsra. Did you want to expand upon that?
Well, let me just pull this photo up. Look at that good-looking fella.
There you go.
This is a replica of the Moabite stone, the Mesha Stela. And one of the things that we wanted to do on the Tanakh tour, and that we want to do on all future Tanakh tours,
Hmm.
is tie archaeology, tie great discoveries, tie biblical knowledge and understanding to an actual place. And so, having you and I have done conversations, shows on the Mesha Stela, and so now the real one is at the Louvre. So you can't see that on a Holy Land tour. You have to go. Remember, all these 19th century nations were competing to bring
Mm,
treasures back to their home.
yep.
Well, this is a replica, and it's in Jordan. But what we were able to do is we were able to see the replica and then go to the location, to ancient Dibon.
Hmm.
Now, when we told the guide, you see this, we want to go to the actual tell. We want to go to the place where it was discovered in the ground. And so we're able to connect. here's a great discovery. It's one of the great archaeological discoveries. And we're going to take you to the location where it was found. And I don't have it handy, but you found me a small piece of basalt. This is made out of basalt. And of
Keep
course,
talking. Keep talking. I'll be
yeah,
right back.
of course, the story is that this was discovered in August of 1868 by Reverend Klein, who was on an expedition east of the Jordan Rift, and his Bedouin guides took him and showed him. Now, it wasn't in the shape that it's in now. If people look at the photo, this thing has been blown up. I write about this in the Moses Scroll. But that was one of the highlights for me, was we were able to show the replica, tell the story
Mm-hmm.
of the great story of the discovery of the Mesha stone, and then take them to the location. We also did that, if you recall, when we were in Israel and we
Mm-hmm.
went to the location. You took me there. I'd never been there before. It's
Oh, Bible
the
Hill.
Yep, where the silver amulets were discovered.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so to go there where it was discovered, to tell the story, then when you get to the Israel Museum and you see these silver
You actually
amulets,
see the
and
silver amulets, yeah.
it's
So just
really a
very quickly
breathtaking.
about the silver amulets, that was Professor
Gabby
Gabby
Barkai.
Barkay. Yeah,
Yep,
that's right. And little Jimmy, I don't know that they know his name. James would probably know if they did.
yep.
He who was sort of getting in the way, a kid that was helping around the archaeological site, and he said to him, "Look, go down there into the tomb there and just sort of clear some debris or whatever."
Clean
And
it up.
it just so happened that this kid found the silver amulets. Now the silver
Right.
amulets are significant because Ross, give us the
They,
details
they
on that.
yeah, they contain, to date, and as far as people know, the earliest biblical passage. It contains the priestly blessing. The
Mm,
Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you. It's a form of that Bible verse. So a
yeah,
lot of people associate that with the earliest known reference to a biblical text.
in Numbers or Leviticus Numbers,
Yep,
right?
Numbers chapter 6. That's right.
Yeah,
Yep, yep,
and as you say, the earliest known tested,
yep.
because we could have more to say about the Moses Scroll in that regard, but
Right.
that's another program. Coming back to the Diban and the Moabite stones, so it was an exciting thing for me to, and you say, of course, it's made out of basalt,
Yep.
and you and I, it's not as if the ground there is littered with pieces of basalt, but we just happen to see one or two and we pick them up. Here's one here, and
Oh,
I
look
don't
at
know.
that.
And the thing I love about this is that you can see it has this round, this smooth round edge there,
Yep.
and curves around like so. Now, is this a part? Is it a part of the
Well,
actual
let's
stone? Who
see. Look,
knows?
look, look. It could go in that upper
It
left corner, maybe.
There maybe it could, but it was significant enough for me to pick that up and bring it home and just think, there's a teaching tool, and it may, who knows, it may be an actual piece of the. Now, I don't know if you mentioned while I walked away, but why is it in pieces? Why would there be possibly pieces of it
Yeah,
scattered around the ground?
once the Bedouin realized that there was a big price to be had, the negotiations got really heated and really involved. As soon as Charles Clermont-Ganneau, representing the French, or probably representing Clermont-Ganneau himself, as soon as he got involved, it really stirred the pot. Well, the purchase agreement was in place, and the short of the long story is that in the meantime, the government tried to involve the Pasha, and the Ottoman authorities were the enemy of the Bedouin tribes. So as soon as they got involved and basically said to the Bedouin, "You will turn this over," they said, "We will not turn this over." And I call it like a last straw. And what they did was they dug a hole, dug a pit, put this beautiful, totally intact, perfect condition basalt monument stela in the ground, heated it up with fire, got it where it was glowing, it was so hot. As they cast stones and cold water on it, they
And
shattered
shattered
it
it.
into all these pieces. Now, if you look at this replica here, you'll see several pieces that are lighter in color. Those are the pieces of the original stone.
Right.
And there are a couple of things to point out on this. Some of the people who follow us have heard this a little bit, but the shape, this reconstruction was done by Charles Claremont Ganneau with the help of an Arab by the name of Salim Al-Qari,
Al-Khari, right.
who is a very big part of my first book, and he plays in even more so in the next,
In the
because he's not
next, no
only
doubt.
involved in the Moses scroll, but he's involved with the Mesha stela. He's involved with the Siloam inscription in a strange way. I'm not going to tell him, and you can't either. And look at this, Jono. He's also involved in the Madaba map, which we will also see
Right.
on our tour.
We did.
This, yeah,
So this is the oldest map. This dates to the 6th century CE, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
yeah, and it is the oldest known map of the Holy Land.
Hmm.
This particular drawing is the work of Palmer and a man by the name of Herman Gutta.
Hmm.
Now we know Gutta from the Shapira story as well. So it's like all of these 19th century figures play prominently in all these great discoveries. I'm hooked, Jono. I
Yeah.
cannot pull myself out of the 19th century because you name it, those guys were there. They were involved in every one of these great
I
discoveries.
I was just talking before we started here. I was knee deep in the 19th century as well, because before, as I mentioned, I'm still jet lagged, and I woke up late, and I'm up and happening in preparation for this, when all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and it was Jehovah's Witnesses, and
Hey,
I love the Jovies, and
yep,
so I have a rule that I never turn them away, because it takes a lot to go and knock on people's doors,
that's right.
and they're always good for a conversation. And I have a great respect for Charles Taze Russell,
Yep,
who's an interesting figure. We won't talk about him now, but in the 19th century, a fascinating thing. So I've just been there talking about that as well. And it's just a fascinating time in as far as, biblical prophecy is concerned as well.
yeah,
And so there we were in Jordan. Not the only places that were biblically significant. We went to, of course, how could you go to Jordan and not go to Mount Nebo?
right.
We did that. And the little things that you pick up along the way, let me see, here we go.
Did you find a set of tablets or a grave marker that says Moses' grave?
This is just a little piece of Roman glass that I found on Mount Nebo, which I
Yeah,
just makes your day. I mean, little things like this, just
yep,
a couple of 1,000-year-old pieces of Roman glass. Um, but that was great, and we had a pretty reasonable morning that morning, and the clarity across the valley was reasonable, and
yeah.
so it was interesting to be able to see the land as Moses viewed it, and that had to be done. I mean, what are some of the other exciting places that we went,
Well,
Ross?
here's one. How about this one, Jono?
Ah,
This is Petra. I tell you, I think anyone who goes to Jordan has to go to Petra. Here's
you
a
have
nice
to.
shot of us at an overlook. We went with Dave and Patty Tyler first in June, and then we went back later on this tour. People love it. What is that? What you got there?
That's a little
Oh, a
piece of
piece of
Nabatean pottery.
Nabatean pottery.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Nabatean, and
Yep.
so it was fascinating. Yeah, that's right. We were there with Dave and Patty, and thanks to Dave and Patty for helping us to research some of these sites
Oh,
before
that
we
helped
actually.
us so much, actually.
Yeah, it was invaluable. That really,
Yeah.
really was. That helped us an enormous amount. But Dave and Patty took us to Petra for the first time in June, and which was a
Yep.
little bit hotter then. And we went to the picture that you just showed is the treasury. We powered on, thanks to Dave hiring some donkeys and
Yeah.
horses. We managed to go all of the 1,000-step ascent to the monastery as well. spectacular, absolutely spectacular. And having been there the first time, I couldn't believe that I had waited that long to go
I
and see it.
know.
Being
And
that it's
we
just
talked about that because I've been in Israel so many times, quite often sitting in Biblical Tomorrow with James, you, Dave, and Patty, and we've said, we really ought to go. It's right there. It
it's
just
right there. It's
cross.
across the valley.
Yeah. Now
So Dave and Patty
yeah,
made it possible. Dave just said, "Hey, did you see Sohai?" No, we didn't, Dave.
we didn't, but I looked. Now let me tell you something I did, Jono, on this last tour. This was a fantastic experience, and you and I have incorporated sort of some of the same things from our previous tour. Meaning, for instance, we're going to stay at Petra overnight. Now, what that means is we
That was
roll
one of the
into
best
Petra.
hotels, by the way. That was a
Oh man, it
spectacular
really
hotel.
is.
In fact,
And
that was that the best hotel we've ever stayed in all the hotels that we've
I
stayed in
think it
Israel and
was.
Jordan.
I
It
really
was
do.
just 5-star, incredible stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway,
in
keep going.
fact, I remember thinking, "Wow, have they made a mistake on our itinerary?" I mean, it was that nice.
Can we really
And
afford this?
yeah, who's paying for this? But one of the things that it allowed us to do because we spent the night, I had seen an advertisement for a night show. It wasn't part of the tour package, but if I
Mm.
remember right, you might remember, maybe it was $20, something like
It was
that.
cheap, and let me just, before you talk about that,
Yeah,
I didn't go. Let me tell you why I didn't go, and I'm surprised that you still had the energy to do it. Is because we walking down to the treasury is a very easy and pleasurable.
yeah,
Slight decline, not even a half hour. And to
yeah,
walk back from there, again, it's just as easy. Same path, really, really nice, even path, concreted, so on and so forth. To go further down the valley, probably another half hour, I would say, and then begins as I mentioned, the 1,000-step incline, which is a challenge. And not everybody did that, but most people did. You can take your
right.
time and you can get up to the monastery. Um, by the time we returned, you told me that we had completed something like 23,000 steps. Now, we did that over a considerable time. We took our time with it. We even had lunch down in the valley and so on and so forth. It was really nice. And the weather, in November is nice and cool, and Petra is quite elevated.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't a challenge, but we certainly got our steps in. But you get back and you're like, I'm going to go back down and watch the light show. I'm like, you can have that to yourself. I'm done. But you weren't the only one. You and Toby and quite a number of the other people were ready to go and expel some more energy, and you walked back down to the treasury for the light show. Give us the details.
Yeah, I tell you, I just put this picture up of Dave and Patty.
Hey, there they are.
This was at Petra, and if you remember, we went up to the lookout where this picture is taken,
That's right.
and that was them relaxing. But let me tell you, this night show was something totally different. And I thought, I'm here, even though we've walked 30,000 steps. I mean, what are a few more? And so Toby and there were, I think Timothy Thompson went with us, and Josh Tippy. There were a few of us. Anyway, we went there, and it was really interesting because there were Bedouin who were performing on their instruments and singing, and it was just, when you're in Petra, be like the Petra people. And but I really had a good time, and I'm glad that I did it. And I remember telling you the next morning, because you can schedule the tour and just arrive at Petra in the morning, do Petra, and move to something else, I guess. But what we
Mm,
decided was, let's give us a full day at Petra because there's so much to see.
mm,
And then afterwards, those that want to go, you go back to the hotel, you eat a lovely dinner, and then
mm.
you walk back down at night. And the path is lit up with candles, and just a fantastic, fantastic evening.
They
So
really put
yeah,
on a show.
that
Yeah.
was one of my highlights, was the Jordan tour, was the fact that we were able to do that.
Absolutely. So people may be asking now. By the way, before I continue, I'm seeing some comments from you guys on YouTube. If anyone are we clicked into Facebook as well?
Yeah, supposedly we are streaming to the Tanakh Tour Facebook page Truth to You Facebook page, and then the rest of them are my sites, my
Mm.
Facebook, my Twitter, and my YouTube.
All right.
So
So someone from Facebook, leave a message because I just want to see a comment from you guys. Anyway, so one of the things about so Petra, so Nabatean, and people might be saying, well, how is Petra a Tanakh tour? And I don't know if you have a photo of this, but it's an interesting thing. And it was brought to our attention by Ilan Pomerantz, before we went with Dave and Patty. He said to us, hey, listen, when you go, understand there is some Hebrew inscription on the walls as you walk down towards the treasury.
yeah.
And we were able to find that, and we mentioned it to our guide in November on the Tanakh tour. He was unaware of that, and he was thrilled to find out that it was there. But it certainly is. There is some Hebrew inscription inscribed into the rock face as you're walking down. Now, I haven't figured out what it says just yet, but I think it's about 3 lines of Hebrew and then 3 lines of Greek. I don't know if James knows what it says, but
Look,
that's that.
I'm pulling it up right now, Jono. This is the inscription that you're
There
talking
it is.
about. It's a zoomed in shot, and I would have to study it. You know, you can make out the letters, but it's etched into the stone. And as you
Hmm.
say, this appears to be Hebrew text here, followed by Greek, and some of it's a little bit difficult to see. But
Yeah,
you know, it's not like it's obvious. There's not a sign that points to it and said, you know, here's an inscription. But yeah, it's there. So very nice,
it's
very interesting.
it's certainly there, and certainly indicates that there was a Hebrew-speaking population there at one stage. Fascinating. Anyway, so
Hey,
that's yep.
wait, one other thing that was really a highlight, and we're going to do this on our fall tour in 2023, and that is the Wadi Rum.
I was just about
And
to say Wadi Rum. Yeah,
and I'll just pull this. This is one of my
go ahead.
favorite pictures. Toby,
Ah, that's
my
great.
son, took this
That's a great
picture.
picture.
And remember, the dust storm came up. Now we're in the Wadi Rum, and
Mm,
people can find this on the map. And we took, some of us, not everybody, but some of us took a camel caravan. And now you couldn't just take off and ride the camels; they were tied together. And there
hmm.
was a Bedouin guide that walked you on a rope, so it's kind of a kiddie ride. But the coolness of riding a camel in
In the
the
Wadi Rum.
desert.
Yeah,
Oh man, you know, and you can see I had my floppy hat, and I felt just for a moment a little bit like Lawrence of Arabia. And
right.
yeah, it was nice. It was really nice, and people
It
loved it.
it was an experience, the Wadi Rum. And what I was going to say is, speaking of things that are etched into the stone, the rock walls and whatnot, like just like this. Um, not exactly like that. Now, these are letters that are etched into the stone. But one of the things that we saw when we were four-wheel driving the whole tour, we were four-wheel
Yeah,
driving through the Wadi Rum, is that we stopped at some sites on our way to the House of Lawrence, one of the areas where Lawrence set up his abode in the Wadi Rum, and we saw petroglyphs not dissimilar, in fact, very, very similar, if not practically identical to those that we have seen in Har Kharkoum, which is another place that Dave and Patty took us to.
yep,
And Har Kharkoum, of course, is a candidate for Mount Horeb or Mount Sinai, the only one in Israel.
yep,
And we went there out of interest for that reason. And one of the things that makes Har Kharkoum unique are these petroglyphs, these etchings into the um, the rocks and the stones round about, thousands of years old, like 4,000 years old. Well, it was remarkable to me to be in the Wadi Rum, and our tour guide Aladdin took us to see these very same etchings, these same petroglyphs, the same pictures, camels, ibex, people, absolutely identical to what we see in Har Kharkoum. Now, speaking of Har Kharkoum, right?
yep.
Can we announce this now, or can we talk about this now?
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. You need to announce it, and I'm going to pull up a photo while you pull
Oh,
it
that's
while
great.
you tell me.
So that's there we are at Har Kharkoum. That's Har Kharkoum in the distance, and just behind us and it's again, it's quite a 4-wheel drive effort to get out there. Dave and Patty set us up at Mispa Ramona, a hotel there, which is a spectacular view and just a place worth visiting. And we've done that on the Tanakh tour as well. And early in the morning, we squeezed into a 4-wheel drive and we headed out there. We intend for the first time to take the Tanakh tour on the Israel leg of the tour after we do Egypt and Jordan. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we
Right.
intend for the very first time to take the whole tour group this coming November to Har Karkum to show
Mm-hmm.
you the what is a very fair candidate for Mount Horeb, the only one in Israel. A lot of scholars have speculated on this. And for the very first time, we intend to take the tour group out to see this mountain and the petroglyphs there and all the other features, Ross.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling up. I'm looking for a photo now because now I'm working this computer really well right now.
You're doing a good job.
But I'm trying to pull in some of the photos. Let me just see if I can find a photo of us when we were jammed in that Jeep. Now we've gone a couple of times thanks to Dave and Patty, and Dave has really made friends with one of the guides, and so he's able to arrange these trips. And so now we know these people, and we've gone several times. Now I did find one. Let's see if I can load it. This is now we're not going to be in this Jeep, as I understand it. If you bring a tour group, you either put like this tour is filling up, Jono. I don't know if you know this, but this thing is like here's an example. Look, here's Dave, Ron
There
Vanderham.
we are.
There's me. Here's Elon in the
Elan
back,
behind you. And
and
that's
there
Patty's
are
hand,
two
I
other.
think, or yeah.
Yeah.
And Vicky's in there.
Now, this was a blast, but the thing about it
Mm.
is, I don't know. We're still talking to the land operator of the tour. Are we going to be in a series of Jeeps or will we take a deuce and a half truck? Now, this is off the road. People need to understand this is not like, I mean, it's not like you're going to the Sea of Galilee on a highway. You're
No.
trucking it through the desert. In fact, we had to have military escort,
Mm. You
when
have to let the military know that we're heading out here before we need that permission. So it's near the Egyptian border. People can find it on a map, but it really is near the Egyptian border. It's deep in the desert there, and it's absolutely off road. So you mentioned, what did you call it? A deuce and a half.
yeah, like a big truck. And by the way, this was on the tour. This is where when we went on one of our expeditions to Har Khartoum,
Mm.
you meet with the military. Like this
Mm.
guy here, I almost remember his name.
Really?
Uh, yeah,
Wow.
Nimrod. Remember?
Well done.
And yeah, and so we met this guy, and I think I remember because some of the girls in the van thought he was good looking, and they kept talking about Nimrod. But anyway,
Dave
uh,
remembered too.
yeah, but yeah, so we went into this, and you meet with the military, and then they escort you. As you said, you have to get permission. So a lot of tour groups. I mean, I don't. How many tour groups put that on the main tour?
Oh yeah,
You and
that's
I,
not a.
we've discussed doing this, but doing it as an extension. But we
Mm.
decided, hey, let's put Khartoum on there. Now let me tell you why this is so important for the Tanakh tour.
Mm.
We are going to Egypt, so let me pull this picture up. The tour starts now. We'll talk about the choices people have, the options they have in a moment. But if people do this the way we envision it, you'll do Egypt, you fly into Cairo.
Hmm.
We're going to see things in Cairo. Obviously, the pyramids. We're gonna visit the pyramids. We're gonna see them. We're gonna see the Sphinx. We're gonna go to the Cairo Museum, and I'll talk about
Mm.
that in a moment. But while we're in Egypt, one of the things that we've included is a trip to the traditional Sinai that is at St. Catherine's Monastery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think this is the Sinai of the Bible, the Horeb, but it is a traditional site, and a lot of people do still say it's one of the top 3 or 4 contenders. Remember,
Mm.
there are like 15 sites that are in the running for
Potentials.
the potentials.
Yeah.
The traditional Sinai at St. Catherine's is one. We're in Egypt. Why would you not do that if you're in Egypt? So
Mm.
we're going to do that. And then there's not one in Jordan. There is one in Saudi Arabia, which we took our group to the border of Saudi Arabia.
We did.
Now
Yeah.
look, I'm telling you, Jono, don't think I won't get crazier next in 2024. I'm actually thinking now, how could we
About to say.
do a Sinai's plural tour? You go to
Oh my goodness.
traditional Sinai, you go to the one that Hashem, the one that
Yep. Table of
Simcha
Hashem.
fixed. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we're going to go to Saudi Arabia. That's down the road, though. But we can't give them all of them this time, but we're going to give them this one,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to give them this one in one
In,
tour. If people choose to go to Egypt, Jordan, and Israel with us together, I mean,
yep.
what? Come on, man. I mean,
So the idea is that as you say, so on the 31st of October we're landing in Cairo. We intend to, as you mentioned, hit all the big sites. There are things that you just have to see when you're in Egypt, obviously. But we do also want to maintain the theme of the Exodus and loosely
yeah.
follow the traditional story, and as you mentioned, the traditional sites related to there. Who is this? Karen here. Who is going on the tour? I'm so excited I can hardly sleep. G'day, Karen.
Is that Karen Clark? That's
Must be.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
look, in fact, I
so
think she's the
no,
first American, at least, that signed up. Remember, I don't remember. Did Alana sign up first, or did Karen?
oh,
But
Lana got in first. Lana got in first. She's the
all
first
right,
Australian on the tour.
all
She's
right.
doing both Egypt and going on to do Israel as well. And yeah, it is her. So no, it is exciting. It's exciting, Karen, and it's great that you got in because we're already, I don't know, a third of the way to filling a
No,
bus. And
it's well, we're a yeah, maybe so. I mean, especially for the Egypt Jordan.
yeah,
I mean, people are signing up. Hey, let me before I forget, while we're talking about Egypt. One of the things that speaking of Exodus themes
mm,
and Egypt and so forth, this Jono, you know what this is, but some of the
mm,
viewers may not. This is called the Merneptah Stela. It was discovered in 1896 by Flinders Petries at Thebes, and it's often referred to as the Israel stone. And
mm,
the reason it is, this thing has 28 lines of hieroglyphs. And on line 27, the last 3 lines, in fact, describe a pharaoh by the name of Merneptah. It's sort of a monument to his achievements.
mm-hmm.
And the last 3 lines, Jono, deal with a campaign in the land of Canaan. And it mentions, what does it say? It mentions
It,
something very
it's,
interesting.
yeah, off the top of my head, I think it says Israel's seed is no more. It suggests to me that there was an area that they understood to be occupied by Israel, and it no longer is. They
Yeah,
assume it would appear that that Israel was conquered and just they're no more. We don't know where they
yeah,
went. They're they've been defeated or whatever. And
yeah.
there's this very brief mention in this stone of Israel, which dates to I think you said 1213
1213 to
BCE.
1203 BCE. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a fascinating thing. So I have a theory on that, and it's not the time to go into the details on that now, but it is absolutely fascinating. We want to see that. Um, so these are some of the things that we want to see, and it is a loosely following the theme of the Exodus. Absolutely, as it's Tanakh, so you have to do that with the Exodus in mind. we hope to get down to. Oh, Karen, you'll be so excited to hear about it. But we want to squeeze in a Nile cruise.
Oh, see, now you're telling them everything. That's cool.
Ah,
No, I wanted to tell them, but I didn't know if you'd let me. So think about this. We're gonna try our best. We're working with
mm,
the land operator now to get everybody on this boat, cruise down the Nile, and as I understand, you stop and you go check out a really cool temple
yep,
with all sorts of Egyptian goodness, and then you get back on the boat and you go to the next site.
yep, yeah. That's it. So we won't give away too much detail, as many people know. The Tanakh tour itinerary is a top secret document, but we do intend to get down to Luxor, all around there, and then head on over to St. Catherine's, as you said, and ascend the traditional Mount Sinai. From there, we go down to Nuweiba and we cross over the Aqaba, as is traditionally understood by many, the parting of the sea and so on and so forth. Um,
Now let
and
me
then,
just hang on. Let me stop you there. There are other ways to do a tour, Jono. You don't
yeah,
have to do a Nile cruise. That's just extra goodness that we
you
put
don't
in.
have to. Yeah,
You don't have to cross the Red Sea. Now,
you don't have to.
ideally, one of us could pray and the water would split and we could walk across on dry
Of course,
land. Of course, if you're doing it at the Gulf of Nueva, you're going to have hundreds of feet of water on either side.
that's
It
right.
would be a little bit scary, probably, for some of you. I'd
Just
be
a bit.
okay. But we're going to get on a boat because we can't split the sea, or we've never tried. I've never tried. But we're going to get on this boat and we're going to cross over from Nueva and get off the boat. Where, Jonah? Where are we going to go next? We go,
Aqaba.
yeah,
That's where you dock. So Aqaba is the port in just next to Eilat in Israel, Aqaba in Jordan, and from there we do our Jordan leg of the tour,
yep.
and then on the 12th, if I remember correctly, we cross over into Israel and begin the Israel leg of the tour. Now, by the way, dear listeners, if you want to do just Egypt and Jordan, that's one tour. You can do that. If you want to do just Israel, you can certainly do that. Many people are doing both, and if you sign up to both, you will get a $100 combination discount. Now, by the way, can I talk about discounts for a little while?
Yeah, go ahead because we want to make sure that people know that there are some deals available if they do it. You know, if
Karen
they
says
get
I
on it.
plan on doing all the things. I also plan on doing all the things, Karen. You and I will be doing all the
That's
things. It'll
right.
be fun. There's so many discounts at the moment that this thing practically pays for itself. So um, there's an early bird discount.
Right.
If you sign up before 2023, whether the Egypt Jordan tour or the Israel tour, you will get $100 early bird discount off both
Not for
tours.
both, not for both, but
No,
if
no, you
they
will. If you say no, no, you will. If you get a discount, an early bird discount, if you sign up for both tours, on both tours, you will get that discount. If you sign up prior to 2023, now
oh,
if I think what
oh man.
yeah, I know it's it's practically. I mean, this thing is so cheap. There's if you do both tours, you not only do you save $100 off both of those tours if you sign up before 2023, as Karen has, um, you will also get the combination discount. That's $100, and if you have been a previous Tanakh tour participant, you will get $100 discount, a loyalty discount is what we call it. Now we're up
Yeah.
to 400. Um, also, also, if you sign up to Ross's Patreon and contribute, I think $20 a month, is it?
That's right.
If
That's a
you
good
sign up to
deal.
Ross's,
That's a good deal.
this is a really good deal. If you sign up to, there's the link there. If you sign up to Ross's Patreon, and I'll tell you why you ought to do that in just a minute, and commit to $20 a month, that will also entitle you to another $100 discount off off the tour. So you the amount of money that you're saving here, this thing is super cheap, and it's absolutely worth doing this. Now, Ross's Patreon is just it's a new thing, but what's happening is Ross is uploading some really good information footage, discussions and whatnot to his Patreon prior to you guys seeing it live. Like some of these things, he goes into detail for those who appreciate what he's doing and want to support what he's doing. One of those things, can we talk about the cave?
Yeah, I think we can. I think we
All
can.
right.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this because I just want to emphasize to people that it's really worth going and signing up to Ross's Patreon. You can give as little as $5 a month, but if you want to save an extra $100 on the Tanakh tours, then sign up for just $20 a month, and you get $100 off.
Yep.
It's definitely good value for money, which is what we're all about. One of the really big highlights of Jordan when we were there. One of the absolute musts, and again, thanks to Dave and Patty who brought us there in June, and we went and sussed all of this out, was to go to the Wadi Mujib. The Wadi Mujib is highly significant to us at the moment. Big, very interesting to us at the moment because that, of course, is where the Moses Scroll was discovered in 1865, if I remember correctly, by Bedouins who claim to have found it in a cave, wrapped in linen, so on and so forth. You know the story if you've read the Moses Scroll, Ross's book. If you haven't read it, you need to go and get it. By the way, when they sign up, do they get a free book to Patreon?
When they sign up to Patreon, yeah, that's one of the things I want to do. I just set this up when I got on towards the end of the tour. One of the things I plan on doing, because I don't want to reward. Let me go ahead and make this comment now. A lot of people on Patreon, they say if you give $5 a month, you get you get to look at a picture of me or something. If you pay $10, you might get to talk to me on a private chat. If you give me $50, then you can call me at the house. And look, I don't believe in that because I always think about what about the person who doesn't have anything. So everything I do, I provide to people at no charge. However, on the Patreon, because let's face it, this is what you and I devote our full time to. We're creating content, we're teaching, and so one of the things that I wanted to do was, and I told my wife the other day, I get copies of my book cheaper than people can buy them on Amazon. So I'm going to order some copies of each of my books, the 3 books, and I'll put those up. These are the words. This is the that's the one, that the vocabulary book that I just did.
Mm-hmm.
And all these, by the way, the covers are designed by our friend Daniel Wright, and of course the Moses Scroll. And we also published Herman Gutta. Look, Jono, I'm doing this high tech, man. I'm flashing graphics. You can relax.
You're way ahead. I don't have to put the books in front of the camera.
But what I plan on doing is, if somebody signs up for my Patreon, if they give $5 or whatever, $100, it doesn't matter. I plan on saying this month, because you're a faithful supporter, I'm going to give you a choice. You pick the choice. I'll give you a book, or I might offer my map and say, look, I'll send you a copy of the map.
By the way, that was really handy on the tour.
We used it on the tours, yeah.
We did use it on the tour, and you handed out these maps to everyone. It really was handy. So I understand that. And look, so much of what we do, almost everything that we do is available for free. Even the tours are almost available for free with all these discounts that are available to everyone. But I just want to emphasize it's worth going and signing up. Not only because if you sign up for $20 or more on Ross's Patreon, you're going to get a wealth of information, but you'll be eligible for that additional discount. But also because I know what you're about to release on your Patreon in the coming week, perhaps. And there we go. So this is a picture of Ross and Ala ad-Din coming back from a cave that we stopped at.
Now, don't give too much detail. I'm not going to tell the location.
All right. So we're in the Wadi Mujib. I won't tell you exactly where we are. The people on the Tanakh tour have the secret information. We were there and we witnessed this, and I kept everyone on the bus because, as you can see, it's a little bit precarious. Here's Ross and Alauddin risking their lives to go and check out these caves. Now, as they were approaching, up behind the bus, there were some Bedouin shepherds with their sheep, just leading them upward along the Wadi Mujib. And Ala Adin said, "Hey, do you mind if we go into this cave?" They said, "No, go into the cave. Absolutely, go into the cave." So, as you can see on the right there, it sort of descends down into a crevice, and I think you were thinking that you were going to have to do that and then climb up to the entrance of the caves,
Yeah, I was
and
ready. I was ready to make a hard climb.
you were going to do it, and they said to you, "No, no, no, take the trail." And the trail just sort of hugged the side of the cliff face there. And there was no way that we were going to let the tour do this, but you were quite happy to risk your life,
Yeah,
and as was Alauddin. Now, people can see on if you go to hashtag Tanakh Tours on Facebook, you'll see that I took some video footage of you guys going in there, and we're talking about that. But you took footage of the inside of this cave, and it is
yeah,
remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable. It's amazing video footage, and the reason why it was so mind blowing is because, as I mentioned, the story is that Bedouin were hiding from the Ottoman authorities. Bedouin boys were hiding in a cave. Um, I had no idea, and I don't think you had any idea that the Wadi Mujib could support such an elaborate, massive cave.
yeah.
We were just thrilled to see that such a cave existed, and if there's one there, then surely there are other caves in the vicinity as
And
well.
there are. We saw others in this region.
Hmm.
So that's the thing. This is crying out, "Hey, come look at caves." You know, what are lying in those caves after all these years? You know, I mean, look, people would have never imagined. Think about
Mm.
on the Israel side, you know, everything that was discovered at Qumran and other caves in the Judean desert. What's in those caves in Jordan? So this was an
Mm.
opportunity that we could, I mean, it was spontaneous. We're riding down the road, and I had just said, look up here. I'm thinking the cave would be from here to there. And then remember, Barry was on the bus and he said, there's some
Mm.
caves right there. And I said, yeah, that could be. Whoa, stop the bus.
And
And it was,
we could see there was a place that was convenient. We could just sort of pull over and stop the bus, and we could see the face of these caves. And it didn't occur to me how massive the opening was until you walked up into it. And
yeah, I didn't realize it was that big until I got closer and I thought, wow, this is you know, because
a
from the road,
significant.
it didn't look that huge,
Mm.
but it's also sort of deceptive. Like you can't tell it's
Mm.
further from the bus than you would think, you know.
Yes,
So by the
exactly.
time we got there, I was actually out of breath, you know, and I'm in decent
Yeah,
shape,
and
but
that's
it was,
evident in your video when people sign up and they watch this on your Patreon. Believe me, people, this is a video worth seeing. You can tell you were sort of trying to catch
winded.
your breath,
I was winded.
and
Yeah.
you're winded. And now the other interesting thing, and maybe you can give me more specific details on this, but when it is the story is told to Shapira about where it was found, he said and he wrote, "Oh yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah.
I know that area. I know that cave." And this is, and we're not saying this is absolutely and definitely. G'day, Christo. Christo's he said he's glad to be going back to Israel with you next year. Hope to go on the others also if possible. We want you to go on both. So he's planning on signing up to both. He's already signed up to the Israel tour, and he was with us just in November.
Yeah.
So good to see you've tuned in, mate. And he was there on the bus when you returned to your natural habitat in the cave, being the dwarf that you are.
That's right.
And and so it was great. But Shapira knew the area, and he knew that there was a significant cave there, a memorable cave, and clearly that particular area can support such caves, whether this is the actual cave or not. But what you saw inside that cave was remarkable. I've seen the footage. People who are excited about this subject matter ought to sign up to your Patreon and view it when you
Yeah, let me
upload it
say
home.
why I'm doing that on Patreon. Um, the expeditions that we have planned to go to Jordan again, I'm going to have to hire guides. And this is separate than my work for United
Mm,
Israel. So I don't. People donate to United Israel graciously. We appreciate that. That's to support what we do at United Israel. It keeps the
mhm,
lights on. It pays for so much, and we're so thankful. But I can't really say, hey, United Israel, could you pay for me to go hire a guide in Jordan and go run through caves? And I'm not going to publicize to the open public the video footage, but those that are supporting what I'm doing and my additional researches, I want them to feel part of it. So I'm going to go live at some point for my Patreon supporters, and I'm going to say, hey, let me show you this video. Let me tell you a little bit about it. And
mhm,
here's why, Jono. And this is something that I want people to remember. When we go to Israel, we go to Qumran, for instance,
mm.
and some of the greatest biblical discoveries, when we're talking about textual evidence of the biblical text, they were discovered in the Judean desert. This is Cave 4 at Qumran. We go to Qumran when we're in Israel. The
Mhm.
cave that we went to, very similar on the other side of the Jordan. You know, I've
On
been
the other side of the
in,
Dead Sea.
yeah, on the other side of the Dead Sea, I mean.
Mm,
We've been to, I meant the Jordan Rift, but we've
mm,
been to caves, and we bring people in caves when we're on the Israel side. This
mm.
was, like you said, this was a little bit dangerous. I don't know if you can see the trail as it rounds the bend of that jutting rock there.
Yep.
You don't have a lot of room to, and see how it's sloped down and loose gravel. I'm not going to let.
If people watch the video, again, hashtag Tanakh Tours. If you go to Facebook and hashtag Tanakh Tours and look for my videos, or just go to my Facebook page and scroll back, you'll see the video that I took of Ross and Aladdin making their way around that rock that juts out. And I had no idea what was on the other side, but I was absolutely, ready to capture on video you falling down that cliff
Hey,
face.
that's the kind of stuff
Thankfully, you
you have to
didn't
be
do.
ready for when you go to a tour like this with us. Now, just so people know, we're not making and we're not even allowing everybody on the bus, although we had people on that bus that wanted to go. I mean, they
Mm,
wanted to run up there with us. But
yeah,
but we're not going to put people in a dangerous position.
no,
However, we might let them watch me get in a precarious position, and they
that's
can
right.
film it, because then you'd have some really great footage,
There you
me
go.
falling down a cliff or whatever. But let me tell
I
you,
was ready for it.
the thing that was so moving to me, like, I'm a scroll guy. I
Mm,
love the scrolls. I love the ancient text. I love this whole story about the discovery, not only at Qumran, but the discovery with the Moses scroll, what Edan Dershowitz calls the valediction of Moses.
mhm,
I believe, and you believe, and others believe, that this is an ancient, authentic Torah scroll. Let's just call it what it is. But the thing about these scrolls and these caves, I'm telling you, man, to go into that cave and to
mm,
think about, could this be
mm.
where this scroll actually was? Because inside, I'm going to say this one thing,
All right.
inside this cave, there was a piece of evidence. It wasn't a scroll, it wasn't a scroll fragment. In fact, it was nothing like that. But there's something I saw in there that made me
Mm,
think, you know, this could, not only is it in the right location,
mhm,
generally, we don't know exactly, we're still researching this, but to think about the fact that that scroll could have been in this cave. Look, my heart was fluttering, man.
yeah.
But the other thing that moved me about it was when we first got off the bus and Aladdin is looking at me and I'm looking down the cliff wall. I thought I had to go down and then climb like a monkey up the side to get into the cave,
Yep.
and I saw a Bedouin with about 100 sheep. I
Mm,
don't know how many, but it was a lot. You saw them.
yeah.
And I asked Aladdin, I said, ask him, because I don't know Arabic, ask him, can I go in that cave? I didn't want, first of all, I don't want
You didn't
somebody
want to
to
start a.
recognize there's that white-haired guy with the beard again. He's back in Jordan and he's climbing in our caves without permission. So this Bedouin shepherd, Aladdin asked him, can this idiot go in that cave? I don't know what he said. I assume it was something like that. And the guy says something back, and Aladdin said, he said yes, but he wants you to go on the trail. So Aladdin tells me, take the trail. And I'm like, wow, there's a trail. Yes, there is a trail. So that's when I started walking the trail. Now, this is
Mhm,
us coming out of the cave
mhm.
after we had gone in on a special secret mission, which I'll talk about when I broadcast this to the Patreon supporters. But just to make a point, most of what this Patreon thing, it allows me to do research and produce content that I provide at no charge for anyone. So people that don't have a dime can, they can get that too. But this is something a little bit different, right?
This is something a little bit different. Daniel just clocked on and said, "Shalom, dudes." G'day, Daniel. We
Hey,
mentioned you just
Daniel, right?
before. There we go. Karen said, "I'm ready for some stop the bus moments," and they are. We have a lot of those.
We do.
It really is great. So just one more time, yeah, it is a remarkable video. It's worth signing up to the Patreon for. The link is on the screen there. Go and do that, and if you sign up to $20 a month or more, you will receive an additional discount on the Tanakh tour. It's almost free. This thing pays for itself. So
Let, let
uh,
me let me go back to something you said, Jono. You mentioned because the document downloaded. This
there
is
it is.
in Wadi Rum,
Yeah.
and it's one of the photos that I took of the petroglyphs
Mm.
that are in the Wadi Rum. We took, as you mentioned, we took a Jeep tour through the Wadi Rum, and we're going to do this
Hmm.
again in 2023 with those that sign up for the Egypt Jordan tour, and you'll see these ancient sketch etchings on rock.
Mm.
And one of the things that I think is, you mentioned that it's very similar to what we see at Har Karkum.
Well, it's
Now,
practically identical, yeah.
it is, and I can download some of those. It would take me longer, but let me just
Mhm.
show this. This is these are three books. Dave Tyler, again, Dave and Patty
And Patty?
ordered us these books. We're both into the Exodus and so forth. So we were really researching the possibility that Har Karkum is the Mount Sinai, biblical
Mm.
Horeb. And that was made popular, that view, by Emmanuel Anati, and he's still alive. He's I think he's almost 90, if he's not 90.
Mm.
Guy's in incredible shape, but he wrote several books, and these are the books. They're kind of hard to get, but we've all read them. I think James Tabor may have read them as well.
Mhm.
The Tylers and I certainly have, and that gave us the desire to really spend some time at this location at Har Karkum. So you can see that what we're pulling together here is quite a little adventure, Jono, and it's all tied into the biblical story. Now, listen, you and I had a long conversation when we planned this tour, because this is something bigger than we've ever taken on.
Mm.
And in the past, we've done a lot of cool things, and we've included and incorporated into the tour. In fact, we're working on a little bit of a rewording for the Tanakh Tour website, but we've talked about modern day Israel and how Zionism and
Mhm.
various things like that. All of that is makes for a wonderful tour. But when Jono and Ross do a tour and we have a 40% return rate, you have to change it up. You have to mix it up.
Mm.
So some things have to drop. And one of the things that we decided, and I think I'll go ahead and tell them this,
Go ahead.
is aside from Petra. Now, Petra is not a biblical site, and some of these sites, but we can associate the Bible with a lot of these. But
Mm.
we're not going to focus so much on the modern state of Israel this time and things of that nature. But when we go to Israel this time, we're going to focus almost exclusively on things that we haven't done and biblically focused, really, really more so than we ever have.
Mm,
And
mm.
so that I think is one of the things that drove us to say, hey, could we put the expedition to Khartoum as a major part of the Israel tour? And we voted yes, and it's a good thing we did.
Yeah, and it is, and it's because again, both of these tours are going to have a focus on the traditional Exodus story, and it would be remiss of us if we did not include Har Karkum as the only candidate for Horeb in Israel. So we're dedicating a whole day to that within the tour,
Yeah,
and we're really looking forward to it. That is, boy, oh boy. So just to let people know, if you're watching this live or if you're watching it after we're finished, um, again, the Egypt Jordan leg of the tour has turned out to be vastly more popular than we had anticipated, and obviously, there's been COVID last couple of years. Everyone's ready to get out and get happening. We've already conducted a tour in Israel. It was absolutely, it went ahead without any sort of glitches. It was really good.
yeah,
In as far as COVID and all that sort of stuff, that uncertainty has gone away, and everyone's ready to go. So we found out, and as I said, we're already a third. We've filled a third of the bus, and it's only just hit December.
right.
Uh, with the current discounts that are available, I wouldn't be surprised if we fill this thing before 2023. So if you would like to come with us, you want to get in early and place a deposit, you can do that by going to tanakhtours.com, and you'll see there that there is the Egypt Jordan tour. There is also the Israel leg of the tour, which follows directly on. If you sign up to both of those, once again, you'll get a $100 combination discount. If you sign up to either of those or both, you will receive a $100 early bird discount if you sign up before 2023. If you are a previous Tanakh Tour participant, you get another $100 off. If you are a Patreon supporter of Ross's Patreon page, giving $20 or more a month, you get another $100 off this
Man,
thing.
I'm gonna tell you what, I don't even know if we can do this tour. You're rattling off so many discounts. Maybe are we gonna
I'm
be
going to
able
be
to
eating
go?
rice. I'm going to be eating rice all the way.
Yeah. Look,
So,
let me add another little bit of deal to sweeten this up. It's not all I said biblical, but let me show you. I'm so proud of myself for this,
mm,
Jonah. You always tell me every year. Now we have you and Chad, for instance. You get
yep,
out and you do your famous night
Chad's
swim
already
in the
signed up.
Dead Sea.
Yeah.
Look what I have for you, Jonah. Look at this.
What do you got?
Look at that. I'm
Hey,
actually
there you go.
I'm actually floating in the Dead Sea. You said I never would do it, but look at me.
Well,
And
well, not only, I mean, so you, okay, so you are floating in the Dead Sea reading the Moses Scroll, or a replica thereof,
yep,
um, and that was only a few meters off the shore, but you surprised everybody, including me, when I swam right out to the perimeter of where they had the nets in the
yep.
Dead Sea on the Jordanian side. You came all the way out with me, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Because you said you would never do it. You said you'd never get in the
I was
water.
scared. I was scared to death. I hate it.
You
I
went,
actually hated it.
no,
But
you loved it.
I
Come
knew
on.
that if I did it, I'd get you off my back, number one, and I really wanted the photo op. I mean, that's a really cool photo.
That is a really cool photo.
And so, but just so people know, there's a lot of fun on this tour too.
Yeah.
It's high intensity. Look, I'm talking on the mic, you're talking on the mic. We're really filling people with Bible, 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 Bible all the way. And
Mm.
sometimes, it's nice to just take a day and enjoy the water. We did that this time, and I heard from several people, Jono, they said, thank God, we needed a break. And so we stayed at a
Oh, it
beautiful
was some great
place.
downtime, yeah.
It
And the
really
Dead Sea is
was.
always relaxing, just to get The salt water there's a lot of salt. There's also a lot of magnesium in the water, and it's just so relaxing. Christo just said I would do this again, even if there were no discounts. That's great, Christo. I'm not going to give you any discounts.
Good.
So now the reason why you did I was, making you do the Dead Sea is because you made me walk up Masada, and
Did.
I did that, and so it was your turn. So we've done that now. We did do Masada on the last tour, and there were a bunch of people. Toby, your son,
Yeah.
rocketed up there.
Oh yeah.
He didn't waste any time. There were a bunch of guys that took the Masada challenge and went up the snake path, while we sane people took the cable car.
Hey, speaking of challenges, Jono, let me tell you one of my favorite things now. Now, I have footage that isn't yet published because I'm working.
I know where you're going, and I'm not doing Hezekiah's tunnel. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, come on, man.
No,
Look,
I'm not doing it.
Look at this, Jono. Now, people may not know this, but I'm currently working on another book. Not right now, not this second, but my new book is focused on this wonderful discovery called the Siloam inscription. It was discovered in the summer of 1880 by Jacob Eliyahu. Now, this was mentioned in my book, The Moses Scroll, but only briefly. And I was only going to talk briefly about the Siloam inscription in the book that I'm working on now. But Jono, I have discovered so many things that are so important. This is one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever. And so it has become my main focus. Now, a couple of things are going on. In February of this year, I'm going to, God willing, I've been accepted. My paper is a proposal was accepted to go to the Albright Institute in Jerusalem in February and talk about Conrad. It's a conference on Conrad Schick. Well, I'm writing a paper on Conrad Schick's contribution towards our understanding of the Siloam inscription. But I also, as a result of my research in Shapira, I'm also going to be able to show that thank you, Moses Wilhelm Shapira, because he's actually the one who properly interpreted it first. He read this when no one else did. He read it as a monument, a monument by the builders of the Siloam Tunnel, and it describes how two teams of workers were working from the north and the south, and they met in the middle. Now, you can go in this tunnel with me, Jono. Look at that. Look, there's plenty of headroom. Look at that. Would you look at that?
For you, there is. For all the little hobbits that enjoy these low ceilings, Ross will take you through.
Now,
go ahead.
One of the things that I found on this one, as you're walking through the Siloam Tunnel, there is about 25 feet from the southern exit. Right before you walk out, a lot of people don't even know it. They think of this like a water ride. You know, you just get in, you get wet, you wade through the dark with a flashlight because it's pitch black without. There's not electricity. You're wading through the water. Karen, I think you're going to love this. But you go through the water, and at the end of it, here I am studying the Siloam inscription. And one of the things that it says is that at a certain date, a certain person chisels out of the wall the actual Siloam inscription, breaks it into several pieces, and it's shipped off to Turkey. I know.
And it's still there today.
And it's still there today. The Ottomans now, you go, what's it doing in Turkey? Well, it went to Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, because in the 19th century, the Ottomans were the authority of the world. They owned, they ran what was called Palestine. And so it's only natural that they took it. I mean, people need to get over it. That's why they took it. Now, are they going to give it back? Well, there's a lot of effort to do just that. Maybe my book can help in that, because I'm even going to get into the current efforts of repatriation and getting it back and so forth. Okay. So I've got these ideas. But here's the thing. When I was walking through this time, I had two of our friends, two YouTubers, very popular YouTubers, Derek and Neil came with us. They were filming primarily to get some excellent footage of James Tabor.
Mm.
But James didn't do, he's done the Siloam Tunnel plenty of times, but he didn't do it this time. One of us, just like you and I do, one of us has to take the dry route, and those
That's what we
that
did.
choose that's you, and others with me go through the wet route. So as they're
Or
filming,
as I like to call it, one of us goes through the high ceiling and one of us goes through the low ceiling.
that's
And
right. You take the
you
high
went the
road,
low
I
ceiling.
take the low
I think
road.
Christo joined me on the on the dry tunnel, the high ceiling. But keep
Maybe
going, yeah.
so. Yep.
Mm.
So we're walking through, and I've read the story, and I know as they're videoing, we're looking at a replica. It's about the right size, and I'm telling them the story that this is not the real one. The real one's in Istanbul, but it was chiseled from the wall, and they're
Mm.
videoing, and I'm talking about it. You know, it's a great video. We start to walk out, and I have my flashlight in my hand, and a thought hits me: where was the real one? Where was it in the wall? And I'm so then I look and I take the light and I'm like, oh my goodness, here it is. And I found the place in the wall
Where it was
where it was
chiseled off.
chiseled out. And then I turn, so I'm headed south. So I look to the west across from where the Siloam inscription was in the
Yeah.
hole that now exists. And there in the wall is a niche where an ancient oil lamp would have set. And Jono, when I saw the black soot, I said, guys, listen to me. The original was right here. And when these ancient Judeans were they were engraving in the
Engraving, yep.
stone, here's where it happened. And
Yep.
so when people go through, you can go through the Siloam Tunnel. Anybody can. But what you don't get in this case is a play-by-play commentary. It's the same with the
Mm-hmm.
Moabite stone. I, hey, I don't know much, but these are subjects that we've studied. So
Mm.
we're able to take people not only to the place, but you're not just reading a plaque. I'm telling you, while you're in the tunnel with me, standing in knee-deep water or ankle deep if it's you, and you're telling them, listen, I know the man that chiseled it out, and I know
Mm-hmm.
what happened.
Mm.
So this is the kind of stuff that you get on a Tanakh tour.
Yep. And
If
it's
people are listening and they haven't signed up yet, I'm hoping that they're coming to the conclusion that why
they need
would
to
you
do it.
not? Yeah,
Why
why
would you
would
not?
you not?
Karen just said, "Should I pack my rubber boots then?" So they actually, I mean, they sell, flip flops and Crocs,
Yeah,
wet water shoes. I would
we,
recommend Crocs or something
yeah,
equivalent to that.
we'll put out, by the way, we'll put out a packing list and we'll
Yeah.
advise. But yeah, you're going to need water shoes for that phase of the expedition, the tour
Mm.
that we're going on. But the other thing, just so people know, it's like you don't just have to carry them around thinking, oh, I wonder if we're doing this today. The night before, as we pull the bus in to get you a beautiful dinner, we'll say, now
We'll
listen,
let you know.
tomorrow you're going to need water shoes and
We're going to be
whatever.
doing X, Y, Z. We're going to be on the bus at this time. You
You
get
can't
all
say
that
XYZ.
information,
You can't
yeah,
say
well in
XYZ. They don't
advance,
know what that means.
and
XYZ. Z.
and X, Y, Z,
Yeah. Yeah.
Z.
Now,
Um, yeah.
what just so people know, don't leave out Israel. In Jerusalem itself, there's so much that we're going to see. We're going to see
Mm.
Jerusalem. We're going to take people onto the Temple Mount. Look at those two handsome guys.
Hey,
Uh,
there you go.
we're going to bring you up close and personal. You're going to see this kind of stuff. It's just it's fantastic, is really what it is. And some people might think, I'm not really a tour person, but you've not been on tour with us.
Mm.
And I always advise, you and I, we and the Tylers and James, others, many others, they often will go to Israel and you rent a car and you go do what you want.
Mm.
That's coming in time. People can do that, but I highly recommend you go on a tour first. You get the swath of the land, and then you can kind of narrow it down. But there's a lot to see. Look at this. I mean,
Mm.
we're going to take people literally from top to bottom, east to west, north to south. And this magnifying glass really doesn't even include all that we're going to do. We're going to be west and south of here. I need to get a better graphic just to show people.
So Christo just said, love being on the mount. That was a beautiful day that day, really. We had perfect weather, as I recall. It was just really nice. It was one of the more pleasant experiences I've had up there. Has been just really nice. And he said, I love being on the mount and the Cotel more than once. He said, it's still hard to believe I'm speaking of this in the past tense. I think it was your first time there, Christo, if I remember correctly. And so he really had a great time, as did everyone. I'll tell you what, we might talk about some of the comments in the exit survey. Not now, but maybe next
Yeah,
time we talk.
yeah,
But it really was positive all around. So there you go, dear listeners. We are doing it again next November, actually starting the 31st of October, landing in Cairo, doing Egypt and then Jordan as one tour package, and then Israel as an add-on tour package should you want to go and do that all again. Yeah, he said first time, Chris, I said first time ever.
yeah,
That's right. I remember he and I talked about this. He said about 10 failed attempts of going, and 2 of those, of course, had something to do with COVID. We all remember that. But he finally made it, and we had a great time. Thousands of discounts if you get in early and take advantage of the early bird discounts. If you sign up to Ross's Patreon, $20 or more, and as I mentioned, you'll be seeing that video of inside the cave at the Wadi Mujib very, very soon. It's absolutely worth signing up for to watch that. And we're already about a third of the way full, particularly on our Egypt Jordan leg of the
yeah,
Tanakh tour. So you want to get in early, save the money, reserve your seat, get your deposits down, TanakhTours.com, and we will see you in the land with an Exodus theme this time round. As we already mentioned in Israel Har Kakum, it's on the list. We're going to be
yeah.
doing that for the first time.
Yeah, I tell you, I think it's the most exciting thing somebody can do. And if we can convince people, I know it's more money, but you're throwing money at them all night. So if someone can afford, with all those discounts in particular, to go to Egypt, Jordan, and Israel, we make this process smooth. We're going to work behind the scenes with our land operator to make sure that when you fly into Cairo, we're going to do all the
Mm-hmm.
cool stuff in Egypt. When you leave Egypt and get on that cool boat ride across to the Aqaba, we're going to help people have all the paperwork ready so that that transition is smooth. So
Yeah,
people,
we
I
get
know
all that
people
done
are
in
like, well,
advance.
how do we get from there to there? Just we're going
Don't
to
have to
help.
worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're going to tour Jordan and do all the cool stuff. And we're going to end up, up further north. If people decide, look, it's all I want to do is Egypt, Jordan, that's fine. That's why we built the tour, designed it this way. But then they'll fly out of Amman. We'll
That's
help
right.
them do that. But
Yeah.
for those who say, no, I'm not missing a thing. Like Karen said, I'm doing all the things.
Mm.
So you want to go to Israel too. I mean, look, while you're there, particularly, Jono, if it's someone who's never been to the Holy Land,
Mm-hmm.
of course, we want our repeat customers as well, our participants that have done all the tours with us thus far. But come to Israel, even if you've been to Israel, and even if you've been to Israel with Ross and Jono, because we are doing some different things. And I'm going to tell them one thing
Mm.
that we've already talked about. We're working some of the details on this. With most standard Christian tours, there's an option to get on the Sea of Galilee, and because people, particularly because of a Christian orientation, that has a lot of meaning to them, being on the Sea of
Mm.
Galilee. I've done it many times. But you and I now have found a Jewish group that's not Christian that can bring people on the Sea of Galilee, and we're working to include that because look, man,
So, so
that's
this is
cool.
something. Yeah. So this is something that Yossi, our driver, he was an excellent driver, by the way,
He really
possibly the best driver
was.
that we've ever had. Yossi suggested to us when we were in Tiberias, and he said, there is a this group that will take, because we've seen the Jesus boats that go out for
Yep.
20 minutes and then bring you back and all that sort of stuff. We don't do that on the Tanakh tour because we don't want to. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a Tanakh tour. But this particular group, he was saying, will take you from one point and go on a significant cruise along the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee, and then drop you off at another point where he said the bus will pick you up there. This sounds
Yeah.
great. We're very interested in that, and we mentioned to our tour guide Gershon, who we always use and who is always excellent, Gershon Portnoy. Let's look into this for next year because we've never done it. We've never done the cruise on the Galilee as well. So
Yeah.
it's going to be it's going to. So we're giving all these things away of our top secret itinerary, but it's going to be a tour of Exodusy goodness and some cruises as well.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to, before we go, Stephen Simpson. G'day, Stephen. Do you go under the city of David? Yes, we will be. Ross is absolutely going to be taking people through Hezekiah's tunnel.
Absolutely.
Going to
Yeah.
work our way all the way down and through that tunnel and then back.
And by the way, one more thing for Stephen. When we do the tour, as you come to the city of David,
mm,
not only do we do it's not like you just run to the tunnel,
mm,
as Jono indicated, you're walking down into the excavation. You're
mm,
seeing things, and we're going to be talking about the things that have been discovered there, including ancient bulla seals that have been discovered
mm,
there. We're going to talk about the significance of those finds as it relates to the Hebrew Bible. We have certain seals, bulla actually, that were discovered that bear names of people that are biblical personalities. And you might say, well, how do you know it's that one?
mm.
Well, I mean, it's pretty specific, like so
Yeah.
and so, the son of so and so. We don't want to give all this away, but you're going to see the place where a lot of these discoveries were made, and it's just fantastic.
What did you think of that new room that they have at the bottom there? That's the first time I'd
Where the
been
video
in.
was,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's been there. Here's what
that's
hit
the first
me.
time I've seen it. This
Well,
was a
it's the first time
remarkable
I saw it.
presentation at the
You
bottom
know
there.
what else I didn't know, Jono? I
What?
didn't know that there was a bathroom down there.
There you
No,
go.
I didn't, because I'm used to learning where all the bathrooms are, because when you have a tour, it never
You got to know
fails.
those
I
things.
also have 6 kids and 9 grandkids. So
See,
when you go somewhere, you need to watch for bathrooms, and you
yeah.
tell people, listen, whether you think you need to go or not, I want you to go in the bathroom and try, because it's going to be another hour
That's
before
what you
you get
say
to
to the
go.
kids. That's
But
right.
in this case, we go down the stairs and voila,
I
the
think it must be
coolest
part of that new
video.
installation down there. That was an impressive. Anyway, the people will see that it really
Yeah,
was an impressive presentation down there, and the new
yeah,
facilities and all that sort of stuff. Stephen also says the Western Wall Synagogue. We did do, and we don't do this every year, but we did do the Western Wall tunnel
yeah,
down underneath, and all the way along the Western Wall. Fascinating.
yeah.
Um, and we did do that, and we may do that again. Did you see Warren's shaft at Hezekiah's Tunnel, Ross?
Yeah, yeah. In
Mm,
fact, as you go down, there not only are there placards, but you'll see things along the way. Like it sounds like Stephen is a well-read person.
mm.
You're going to find things like, for instance, I've taken BAR, Biblical Archaeology Review, for, I mean, when I started taking it when I didn't have white hair, and that's been a while. But I've read all
You
these
you weren't born
articles.
with white hair.
No, my kids think I was, but I wasn't. But I've studied these subjects deeply and always wanted to see. So we're going to go to those places. You're going to see Warren Shaft. You're going to see the Gihon Spring. You're going to
Mm,
see all of these different things related to the ancient city of David. And up top, we're going to take them to a viewpoint where they're looking out, where they can finally get straight what they've seen in their Bible maps. This is the Ophel. This is where the city of David was. Here's where his palace would have been. You'll be able to see things that most people don't see.
mm.
Good students, good researchers never see it in person. And there's no way to describe the difference, the exponential difference between reading an article in Bar, for instance, this was my realization,
Mm.
and actually being on the ground at a location and going,
Yeah,
oh my God,
this is it.
this is, oh, it makes sense. Now I can see it. Now I can understand it. Totally different. And
Mm.
so, yes, we're going to see those things. And I personally don't know that I could do a tour of Jerusalem and not go to the city of David. You know, I could
Mm.
do Jerusalem and not see a lot of things, but one of those things that I have to see now, particularly because of my passion over
Mm.
the tunnel and the Siloam
Yep.
inscription, you have to do it. Now, here's the other thing, Jono.
Mm.
Just because I don't know if we mentioned it, but we do go to the Israel Museum,
Hmm.
and in the Israel Museum, one of the things we typically do that towards the end of the tour, generally even on the last day, where you've had all week plus a day or so to take in the archaeology sites, and you've been to Qumran, you've been here, you've been there. Then you go to the Israel Museum,
And you
and you
see
see the Dead Sea Scrolls.
the
You
artifacts
see
there.
the artifacts that were discovered. You will have already been to the place where the silver amulets were found by Gabi
Hmm.
Barkai. Then you go to the Israel Museum, and there they are, and you're like,
Hmm.
wow. So uh, you can tell I'm excited about this, and I know you are as well, Jonah. We haven't even slept off our jet lag, and in fact, I
So
remember
true.
when I posted about the tour, I
Mm.
didn't check with you. You were asleep, I think. I posted it, and you woke up, and you're like, "Man, we already have 4 or 5 signed up," and
Mm.
people were really commenting on it. There is a sense in which when we do these tours, sometimes we'll say, "Hey, you need to get your spot quick." And that's it's not a lie. I mean, we want to encourage people to join the tour, but this time I'm
This is
telling people if
this
you
is sounding
want to
so fast
go,
that we've barely had a chance to say you better get in quick.
you
This is
you you haven't even had a chance to invoice the third of the full, you know?
that's my that's my job next week. And so we'll be doing that and documenting all of the, including all of the current discounts that are available. My goodness.
Yeah, look, I just saw I just looked at my phone just to see what
Mm.
time it was, and I did get a notice. Thanks, Dave Tyler. I see that Dave joined the Patreon, and I also put up this is truth to you /donate. This is what Jono does full time as well, and I never ask for anything on Saturday morning. Jono and I have never done this, but we do both. This is what we do full time. We want to create content. It does require us to spend money, not only for research, but books and technology and things like that. So I'll say for Jono, that's a way that you can support Jono as well. Truthtoyou.org/donate.
Mm.
And we really do appreciate it. And there are
Yeah.
things that we're going to do that I really want you to be part of, and most everything we do is free. He's basically given away the tour. So,
That's it.
but
And
if you
think of it
feel
this
so
think of it this
moved,
way,
do it.
Ross. If you can't come on the tour, don't feel that you can't give us money. Don't feel
That's
left out.
right.
You can
That's
still
right.
give us money, and we
That's
want to
right.
make that available to you so that you don't feel like you're being
Left
left out.
out. That's
There you go.
right. Hey,
All right.
look, Jono, let's make an effort to do this every Thursday night.
Mhm.
We got busy before the tour and just couldn't pull it off. I spent all my morning while you were chatting with the Jehovah Witnesses. I was working with my son Seth, who was making some fancy bells and whistles for my Saturday morning gig.
Nice.
United Israel every Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. I go live, and I'm currently teaching a series on the
On
prophet
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look, let me just say, by the way, I watched that first episode of that. I was in Abu Dhabi waiting for the long leg of my flight back to Melbourne, and I got to watch that live, and that was an excellent. Well, I mean, it was a great way to pass the time, but it was an excellent introduction, and I love the way that you brought that. I mean, we'll talk about this another time. We can't get into it now, but you brought it all the way back to well, the origins of the Levites, the families thereof, and the two high priests of David. Fascinating discussion. Fascinating
Yeah,
discussion. And if people are saying to themselves, "Well, how does that tie into Jeremiah?" Well, it does.
it
And
does.
you ought to go and watch the first one just to get that background because it's very curious. And a lot of people don't realize what David had two high priests.
Right.
Yes, he
Right.
did. He was playing both sides of the coin,
He's
and
a politician. He's a
he's a
politician, man.
politician. That's right. And perhaps these two had slightly different traditions, and one of them won out, and one of them was banished to Anatole. Anatole,
Yep. On a tote.
yeah.
That's right.
So it's fascinating. It does tie into the story of Jeremiah. You got to know the background to sort of understand the bigger picture. So when you tune in, don't just tune in this Shabbat. Go and watch the first episode if you haven't seen it already on Jeremiah. Where can they do that, Ross?
They can do that on my, United Israel, but they can also do it on my YouTube channel. And I
Mm-hmm.
just put up the link there, youtube.com/Ross K. Nichols TV. They might
Mm-hmm.
already be on YouTube to watch this, but if they haven't subscribed, subscribe, click the little bell so you're notified when I go live or when I put up new content, because I really am going to be working this year. One of the reasons that Jono and I are talking about, support and so forth, is we're going to take our game up. This
Mm.
live broadcast is one example. We're bringing in graphics, we're doing things. I've got to hire my son, and he's not cheap, and I have to do that with my own money. So anyway, but we're going to work on some things, some content, not only podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to be doing research. We're going to be taking trips. We're going to be doing all these things. But I really want people to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm nothing in the grand scheme of YouTube people. I'm a YouTube content creator with 400 and some odd subscribers. But I really want to push that because I want to. But I want to give people content that they want to
Mm.
go watch.
Mm.
So everything that you and I will do, I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well,
Everything that I do on Saturday morning is not only going to United Israel, but also going to my YouTube channel, because all of these things are part of the research that I do. So
mm-hmm.
hopefully, we're going to give people some good content over the next year, and I think they're going to really get some quality stuff from us. I'm looking forward
It,
to it.
I'm looking forward to this series that you're doing on Jeremiah. As many people know, both of us, our favorite books, Deuteronomy and our favorite prophet, Jeremiah. So that is what Ross is going. It'll probably take you about a year to get through, perhaps,
Yeah, maybe. And let
because
me
there's
just say something. Look at
a
this
lot to
graphic.
unpack.
This graphic that I have up now, I love this picture of Jeremiah. And the
Mm.
reason that I love it so much is we have a tendency to think that Jeremiah is this old, decrepit, but it
Grey bearded
actually, yeah, from the very
prophet. Yep.
beginning of Jeremiah, which we haven't. Let me tell you, I taught for an hour in that first class, just giving background, and I'm only into the first verse. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how long it's going to take to go through Jeremiah, but
Could
but
be
I
a
want
couple of
people,
years.
yeah, but I want people to recognize that Jeremiah, at least up until during the time of the writing of his book, he's young for a good part of that, particularly in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I love this 19th century painting of Jeremiah. But yeah, so
Who now?
people need
Just
to
remind me
join
who
in.
did that painting because you introduced me to that
You
artist. Can
know,
you remember?
I
We'll have
don't
that for you
remember off the top of my head,
next
but
week. We'll
yeah,
tell them. We'll tell them next
yeah,
week.
that's right. That's
All
right.
right. So there it is, dear listeners, dear viewers. We have watched. We've kept your attention now for uh, over an hour and a half. We're going to say goodbye, but yes, it's filling quickly. The Tanakh tours Egypt and Jordan, and
Yep.
Tanakh tours Israel. Go to
Look,
tanakhtours.com, sign up. You'll get a plethora of discounts. And so now is the time to do it before 2023 to take advantage, particularly of the early bird discount.
let
All
me
right.
just say this, Jono. One thing before we sign off. You see the picture of the pyramids?
Mm-hmm.
I think that if this is all we did, if we gave them the pyramids, let's say we gave them the traditional Sinai, let's say we threw in a trip to Petra.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that we gave them a time to swim in the Dead Sea.
Yep.
What if we let them maybe see the
See
place where
Qumran.
the scrolls were discovered, and let's say just for good measure that that we show them some ancient petroglyphs in the desert. What
Mm,
if maybe just for giggles, maybe we not only gave them one of these Sinai sites, but we gave them
but two.
another.
Mm-hmm.
And look, and I'm not even, and then let's say we said, you look, you can ride a camel too, maybe. How about that? I mean, the more I look at this, I think you price this thing way too low.
Too
It's
cheap.
too
Yeah,
late
I'm
now.
starting to think that myself. So,
It's too late now.
if it was just those things, it would certainly be worthwhile. But we have
A trip
so much
through
more.
the thing here.
The thing.
Take them, yeah, the tunnel. A trip. Come on, man. I
Come on,
mean,
man.
really. I
Yeah,
mean, this is great. So
we're gonna have a
yeah,
spectacular time. Looking forward to it. That's all the time we have right
that's
now,
it.
dear viewers. Looking forward to seeing you this time again next week. We endeavor to be back.
That's right. Hey, look, Jono, it's always good talking to you. And thanks to everyone who joined with us tonight. We've kept you for an hour and 45 minutes. We love you. We'll see you next Thursday night. How about that?
Will do. Cheers.
All right. Shalom.